This is John for Global Traveler Magazine. Today we're talking travel with Mike Nixon, author of Life, Travel, and the People in Between, a memoir. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing fantastic, John.
Listen, I want to talk to you obviously about your book, but could you give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Yes, so Mike Nixon. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, but I spent most of my time in Virginia. I'm just a person. I love to travel, and if you read the book, you'll find out that I've done a little bit of everything to be able to, see the world.
You've traveled to over 30 countries. I've read the bio. What started you on your
Yes.
traveling kick, if you will?
So traveling has always been something that I dreamed about doing. But when I was in college, I had a friend who studied abroad in South Africa, and just coming back and hearing his stories that made me even more excited. So he's the one who showed me where the study abroad, the study abroad department was, and then from there, and I've just been doing everything I can to travel.
And when did you get the idea to actually put all this together in a book?
So the idea it came years ago. The book is years in the making. However, I started writing the book back in 2013, 2014. But the book, it was terrible. I had one of my friends read it, and she was like, "This is trash. You don't want to put this book out." So I was like, "Oh man, that hurt my dreams." So during COVID, that's when I really took the time to think about, like, if I wanted a book, like what would it be about? And I thought about like what was important to me, and that was travel, and that was the people, in my life, the people I met along the way. So it just all started coming together, and I started getting these ideals, and I scrapped the original book that I wrote back in 2013, 2014. And yeah, during COVID, like 2019, that's when everything just came together, and it took me about 2 years to write it.
I love the honesty. That's great.
Yeah, you need
So,
friends who are going to be honest with you.
so did your friend read this version of the book?
Oh yeah, she read it. She said she really enjoyed it.
Okay. So what makes this book, and there's a million travel books out there, what makes your book different than the rest?
I think when I reread what I wrote before, I can see what my friend didn't like about it. And one of those things, like, my voice wasn't there, but like what's good about this is, like, when you read in the book, you'll feel that you're talking to a person. You're not just reading a book. You're learning about like someone that you actually know. So I think that readers, they'll be able to connect with the book just because of the way it's written. And there are tons of books like out there. Like, I don't try to be different than anybody else. I just try to be me. And that's what people who read the book are going to get out of it. And they're going to get just honesty, like the real deal. Like, there's so many travel books I've read where, like, I want to learn how to travel, but it's not realistic to me. Like, some person quit some $100,000 corporate job and they're able to travel the world. Of course, that person is going to be able to travel the world, but this is a book about, I started out with nothing, and, I put in the work, and I was able to see a lot of countries.
So what did you learn about travel through the book writing process?
What did I learn about travel through the book
Yeah, did
writing
it change the
process?
way you travel? Did it change the way you look at travel?
Not necessarily. It just because the one reason I wanted to write the book, and this is just one reason, but like, it's been kind of a lonely road, and I've met a lot of people along the way. But when I was in other countries, I'll come back, or my friends, they'll send me messages on Facebook, and they'll be like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, what did you do there?" So a lot of people in my life who were close to me, they really didn't know me or what I was doing. So I wrote the book to kind of put that information out there. Um, and yeah, I guess while I was reading, I was like, wow, I've done like some of it's kind of crazy revisiting some of the stuff that I've accomplished. And that so I was able to revisit some of those things. And I had a friend, she visited a couple of weeks ago, and I was showing her photos because some of the stuff in the book, it just sounds crazy. So I was just showing her photos of me meeting with like a medicine man in Bali or whatever, or like some just the crazy stuff I've done along the way. And um, it's just been really exciting. It's given my life a lot of meaning. Um, and it's allowed me to also inspire other people.
So, name some of the more memorable or craziest, if you will, parts of your travel experiences.
Um, there's so many, but so when I was in Bali, like I did this excursion where, um, what do you call it, rappelling, and we were jumping from waterfalls. And the first waterfall, like 5 minutes into it, like I ended up like dislocating my arm
Oh, oh,
in Bali, and I think the entire excursion was like 3 hours. So I went 3 hours just with a dislocated arm jumping from waterfalls.
oh.
Um, it was terrible. It was painful, and it, and when I went back to the hotel, I asked the representative if they had a hospital in the area, and there was no hospital. So he told me about this medicine man, and I say medicine man. I don't know what they call it in Bali. Healer. That's what it's called in Bali, a healer. So he told me about this healer, and I ended up finding a guy, and there were so many people there, and I didn't think it was real. Like this guy smoking a cigarette, like no shirt on, people. But I waited a couple of days, and after a couple of days, I went back to him, and he fixed my arm. So that was a pretty cool story. But like I've eaten a bunch of crazy stuff, like things that people wouldn't even consider eating. It's been a wild ride, John.
Well, since you've been to 30 countries or more than 30 countries, are there any left that you have on your bucket list? Are there any left that you really want to visit and haven't quite yet?
Yeah, there are a ton of countries, but I think what's high on my bucket list, and I don't know when I'm going to get around to it, but I would love to do a safari in Tanzania or Kenya, one of those countries. Um, I would love to go to Bhutan. I believe that's where they have the tiger's nest at. So I want to go there and like hike that mountain. Um, I would love to visit more countries in South America. I love South America. Um, Europe, I've never been to Europe before. Like just Africa in general, I've never been to Africa. Antarctica, like all of those places. Like there's nowhere on my list that I wouldn't go. Like if I'm able, like I ought to go there. Like the whole world is my bucket list.
So might there be a second book in the future?
Um, I need more experiences first.
Okay.
But
Well,
I'm definitely thinking about it.
you're a young man. You got plenty of time to do more. Where's next on your list? Do you have a planned any trips planned?
Yeah, so actually in a couple of months, I'm going to go back to South America. I'm going to go to Paraguay. I served as a Peace Corps volunteer there almost a decade ago, over a decade ago. So I'm going to go there, hang out with some friends, and have some fun.
Of course, I have to ask you, since you've been such a world traveler, any travel tips you have for the average traveler?
Any travel tips?
Yeah.
So I think when I first thought about traveling, like the biggest thing for me was money. Like I always thought it was expensive, but it can be expensive. And when you're in the States, it does seem expensive traveling to, South America, or traveling to Europe, or Asia or wherever. But once you get to the places you want to go, it's a lot cheaper. So don't let money be a thing like that holds you back. I'm not saying spend your entire savings on a trip to, Tanzania somewhere, but just don't let that be a thing that hold you back, especially if you're young, because you're going to make that money back. But with that said, save, invest in, put money in your savings accounts, checking account, stocks, wherever, but also like invest like in yourself. And when you travel, that's one thing that you'll realize that it's some of the best education that you'll get. Like if you like languages, go to a country that, speaks the language you want to learn. And, you'll be surrounded by people who, speak that language. So you'll be forced to, make an attempt to speak it. And like you'll see, like when I was in the Dominican Republic, I saw like the castle that, you know, they have castles that Christopher Columbus, you know, that he that was built after him. They had we went to slave plantations where we saw chains, and we learned about like African history, like in the Dominican Republic. There's just so much you learn without actually opening a book, and it's easier to remember that and to um, just see how the past has shaped the present.
Sure, sure. So after all this travel that you've done, is it boring when you get back home, or is that kind of you take that as a little break and to regroup?
I think it's exciting. Also, because when you travel, when you go to a different country, like I spent a lot of time like in the places I've been. Like I was in Paraguay for 2.5 years. I was in Japan for 5.5 years. I was in Nicaragua for 8 months. And of course, I've done like week-long trips. But when you're in a country like for an extended period of time, it gets boring. So you got to constantly find things to do and occupy your time. And it's the same thing when you're home. Like even though like I'm in the States, there's a lot to do like in the States. And that's another thing I would want people to understand. You don't have to travel to, halfway across the world to, see something amazing. Like we have a lot of stuff here in the States. Are you in Canada right now?
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chicago. There's a lot to do in Chicago also.
Well, I love it.
But
No,
yeah, you don't have to go far to have a good time.
you're in Virginia, right?
Yes.
How did you select that after seeing the entire world? I know you weren't born in Virginia. So after seeing the entire world, how did you decide upon Virginia as your home?
Well, so like, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but like when I was younger, I moved to Virginia. My dad, he was in the Navy, so grew up in Virginia basically. And I'm in the Navy right now, and I was stationed in Japan, and it was available, so this is where they sent me, like Virginia.
Well, before I forget, thank you for your service as well. Much
Thank you.
appreciated, and to your father as
Thank
well.
you.
Before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find out information about you and your book.
So the book is on like Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, all major online retailers. I'm trying to get in the stores, so I'm still working on that. But yeah, just go on Amazon, download the book. You can reach me. I'm on Instagram at Bro Go Travel. You can find me there, and also you'll find the link to my email. Send me an email. Send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, all of that. You can find me. And I love
Well,
hearing
Mike,
from people.
you heard from me, and you did answer right away, and I appreciate that. I have not read the book yet. I intend to. I have read excerpts. I have read reviews, and it's interesting to me because, as you say, it's a memoir. It's not necessarily a travel guide. It's a memoir, so you learn a little bit about travel, learn a little bit about you, learn a little bit about life. I think it's the best combination. And through the excerpts I read, it really seems that your soul is coming out through it, and that's the part of travel that I love the best. So it's not just places and places and places. It's your thoughts and your feelings on those places. And I appreciate it. I encourage everyone to check out your book, Life, Travel, and the People in Between. And I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much for having me, John. And like I'm here if you need to get in contact with me. You have my email address.
Thank you so much. You have a fantastic day.
All right, you have a great day also. Thank you.